Hello and welcome to Sage Thyme. I'm Lillian here with your Capricorn in 2024 reading. Capricorn, of course, sun signs. This applies to you and also those of you who have Capricorn in your natal chart, which is everybody. The house placement as well as other planets and points of interest. This will be a reading to reflect on where Capricorn lies in your chart and what influences are most prominent, and how this reading is demonstrating part of your Capricorn nature in 2024, presenting opportunities for you to learn and grow and develop and become. So this reading is for you. All right. I did a pre-draw in a sense. I wanted to, it was what was guided. It was what needed to be done. And with that, I used the Guardian of the Night Tarot. I pulled out a few cards. Before we get into the reading, let's see what plant spirit wants to, ooh, that one wanted to come out quick. It didn't though. What plant spirit wants you to look into. And when I say look into, I mean quite literally. You can look it up in books and in that old-fashioned thing called library, but also look into it, right? Feel into it. I'll show you the image that comes with it, and we'll discuss it more and read a little bit about it at the end of this reading. So Coca has come in. Absolutely. At first I thought it said cacao. It's not. It's Coca, as in the coca leaves. Look at that beautiful image. And underneath it, it says foresight. I can see the ruler here is Uranus and Venus in terms of the energy of the plant. I'm excited to look into this because being somebody in the United States, the coca leaf, which is what cocaine is derived from, if I'm knowing this correctly, while in Western cultures is considered a very extreme drug with really severe consequences. But I have a little bit of knowledge, and as I've grown, I've learned more about plant medicine. When things are used indigenously as they are meant to be used, which is a huge cultural distinction from anything that modernized, industrialized, westernized, techized cultures have an understanding of. So I won't go into it anymore right now. We'll go into it at the end of the reading. Uranus and Venus are the rulers of coca leaves. Okay, and the flower is really predominant in this reading. Okay, I'm excited. So let's get started into your reading. So I pulled 6 cards just to start because, you know, me, sometimes I can really go on tangents about these cards. And that just means that everything I need to know is in less. And that I can feel that as a message for you today for 2024. Everything you need is in less. Less is more, keep it simple, all those things. I don't love those phrases because people use them with hubris sometimes, or just absent-minded. But there is wisdom in a lot of those cliches and platitudes. And I'm really feeling that with you, that there is a spark of greater awareness, greater than ever before, of how little you need to really be peaceful in your contentment, in your quietude, content in your quietude. And you know, that comes up here because this first card, the Hierophant, one of the advantages of a pre-draw is I go about my business throughout the house and the cards start speaking to me. And here you see this mouse he's on a platform and he has an audience, and most of them have their attention on him except for this one guy, it looks like. And he's, you know, playing the role of the Hierophant, the teacher, speaking wisdom. And it's not that, you know, I almost said that with a tilt to it, and I apologize. It's not that the wisdom isn't earned. It goes with the adage of be your own best counsel. And by being your own best counsel, as well being your own best teacher. And that means demonstrating that self-counsel, that quiet reflection for others, which means speaking less and looking within. And you can see this one mouse is looking at the key in the window behind him. That's the key. And that's something that I can feel like I see his foot right now. You're tapping your foot on that right now. And that is becoming more prevalent in your awareness that there is more wisdom, of course, to be gained in the quiet reflection, as well as wisdom can be lost, as well as the plot can be lost when we get too caught up in the role of the Hierophant, the teacher, all the things that come from having an audience, whether that audience is just, you know, 2 or half a dozen friends that are in your inner circle, or it's online, social media, or it's in your career, your corporation, or your job, or it's your spiritual pursuit, all those different things. There is something that I'm feeling with this, that you have been losing ground by speaking your wisdom, almost as if giving away your power, but not in the traditional sense as it's been used, in the sense of, it's like I'm thinking of making coffee with a percolator. When we get information in a download and we're able to hold it and let it percolate in steep or a bag of tea, it takes on layers of flavor, as well as it incorporates layers of medicine. In spearmint tea, for instance, the spearmint leaf doesn't just have one molecule that provides medicine. There's countless, you know, sometimes at least there's just very, very many molecules that have medicinal benefits that can be delivered based on how that spearmint leaf is sourced, tended to, acquiesced is the word I'm hearing. All these different things, as well as time. A lot of times people will make tea and they'll put the tea bag in for a number of minutes and then pull it out and squeeze it and put it to the side. Something that's well known in Chinese medicine is that when you drink your tea, whether it's a tea bag or a tea ball or loose leaf in there, and there's still more in there, so you add more warm, tepid hot water, and the layers of medicine that unfold and reveal themselves over time and over repetition go deeper and deeper. And this is something that philosophically is really presenting itself to you. And I feel like, again, like this is stuff that you are receiving, and I could see kind of you moving your hands across the surface of it like Braille, like learning a new language, and you're getting it, but there's a lot more to it. And so coming off that platform, going behind you to that place where spirit moves through the spine, from behind and within and throughout, behind also to me means just going deeply within and getting that wisdom. That is your key. And I'm feeling like that is your key for all of 2024. No, the reading's not done, but it kind of is like, ta-da, this is the key for your greatest success, is a methodology of that inward reflection, that quietude. And there's more. Okay, so let's get to it. The next card that came out is the Six of Pentacles. And here we've got this, I don't remember what they're called. I mean, they're obviously a type of bull. And I think they are, if I'm remembering correctly, they're in, well, certain regions of the continent of Africa. It's a big continent. But what's standing out for me here is his companion, the bird on top of him. And his companion is loud. You can see in this bull's eyes, he's trying to hold his peace. And this companion is screeching and cawing. But what's interesting is this bull, he has 3 pentacles along his side, his rib cage. But his companion, it has the other 3 pentacles. And he's not seeing that. It's right on top of his head, like having glasses on top of your head. You can't see what is right there with you. And I feel like this is something that you have struggled with in the last year. I'm feeling a few years of having this partner. And I think that this partner shows up in different people. It's more like a spiritual partner, a guide, who is really annoying, it would seem. And yet, just like this bird with these bulls, forgive me, I don't know the names of these critters, the bird has a symbiotic relationship with the bull. He picks off the ticks, which are causing wounds there at the top of his head, and there's one by his eye that is obstructing his view. And so this seemingly very annoying, very talkative, loud spirit guide has been trying to tell you, you've got these 3 pentacles, yes, but if you work with me, says this guide of yours, one of your guides, you could have all 6. And I have a feeling that this guide only gets annoying when you've gone too far in a direction that is avoided and not been present. And again, in that quietude, that reflective state of awareness to your inner world and your inner universe, as well as the spiritual guidance and support that you have around you and on top of you. And so when that's ignored and not seen, then those ticks start building up and creating infestations. And it gets in those situations, I'm seeing all these clouds and hearing, it just gets cluttered and clouded and hard to see the forest for the trees, hard to see the sky from the clouds. Your view has been obstructed. And so this is talking to you about that past modus operandum of shutting down versus opening up and opening your heart. That was something else that I saw in this card I didn't get to. On the mouse, you can see right there in the sacral chakra area, there's a little white patch that looks like a heart. And I feel like that's something that you are really feeling into now more. Maybe you've had some really challenging situations that have humbled you and forced you into a position of more self-nurture and more self-care. And that heart over the sacral, I feel like it also represents the root chakra, because that red was really being highlighted for me too. And that sense of safety, it's like, feeling like you haven't even been able to get to the creative power of yourself in the sacral chakra until you can create that sense of safety And when we're trying to move through the world in the conventional way, that doesn't allow for what is necessary to be moving through the world in connection with our spirit guides and our higher self and the design of source all itself, because we're moving too quickly and too loudly, and there's too much influence, too much noise, and too much distraction, on and on and on. You know all the things. And so to me, this is speaking of the past in a sense, and it's highlighting what's under your feet right now, is that more focused concentration on the safety that resides within you first. It has to start within you. And perhaps you have areas in your life, I expect, that are safe and that you feel safe. But if there are areas, and I feel like we all do, right? We all have little slivers or nooks, or sometimes there's periods of time in our life where it's the pervasive thing, where safety doesn't really feel like it's an option to rest in ease and in comfort in that. And your spirit guides are really telling you they are here to make that happen. And now I'm seeing the orange and red in the sky behind. They will lead you into that. And they will lead you into yourself to create it. And then, of course, the stronger it gets within, the more quantitatively potent and qualitatively authentic and genuine that just naturally starts rippling out. Things like abundance and home and belonging and confidence, and all those things start building up. And that brings me to the Knight of Pentacles. This sweet fellow has finally found that pentacle, that first pentacle, which is the beginning of an entirely new journey in an entirely new way. You are now moving into a realm of interfacing with reality, is what I'm hearing. That is completely new. Completely new. What you thought it was, it isn't. And then what you thought it was after that, when you evolved and woke up more, it's not that anymore either. It's so much more, and it's so much deeper. And again, it was underground of this red soil. It's deep within you. And I was seeing in this card too, I don't know if you can see it in the background, there's these little designs here way in the background, and then I'm sure you can't see it there. There's kind of this watermarking thing that looks like the profile of a face moving through these blocks of this design in the background. And this is something I feel like you're already well aware of, and it's this idea of, and I don't mean in a digital tech or AI sense, but the metaphorical idea of the matrix, a construct that is malleable, that is, when we're not in attendance to it and not conscious enough of it, it runs its own program. But the more conscious we become of it, and the more and the more and the more we can pierce through that, because we can see it. Once we see something with clarity, and that's the key. So we see something with clarity, then we can start to understand it, and our spirit guides bring us in that information, because they've been trying. Your spirit guides have been trying to tell you, and you've heard some of it, but it's been distorted and clouded and everything, and there's more clarity now, because you're realizing that you have to participate in reality in a way that brings you clarity with everything that you consume in any way, with your eyes, with your mouth, with your ears, with your energetic field. And so that is really that first pentacle that you've come upon after digging deep within is, and I'm seeing the clear skies behind, the clouds are opening up, that to improve also the inner world, it requires discipline. It requires specific attention and wise choices on what you bring into yourself from the external world. And that's challenging. I know I still work with that. I still work with knowing who to be around and who I shouldn't be around. And sometimes that can require a lot of isolation and seclusion. But then it's not, because then the more you do it, the more your guides come in, and the more they come in their presence, which really they've always been there, but you become more sensitive to it and more perceptive. And the more perceptive you become to it, of course, not only more information and clarity and precise guidance, but no longer are you alone. And no longer do you feel unsafe. No longer do you feel like you don't belong, because their communion around you, their constant work and effort and guidance is creating, I mean, there's so much. And this is more and more what you're going to be discovering. I'm seeing the volume of that being turned up, but also it's like adding detail to a muddled painting. Muddled painting, is that right? If you took a paintbrush and you had 5 colors and you sponged them through, or a sponge even with the paint, but then you took a fine tipped paintbrush and blacks and browns and you started creating definition, it all of a sudden takes this kind of more muted palette of colors and starts creating detailed mountains with distant trees. And I'm thinking of Bob Ross and Happy Little Trees and all the things, right? And that's what's being opened up within you. And I'm feeling this incredible increase in clarity of sight that I don't know that you have felt maybe ever, and even if so, not for a long time. And then there's, as the year goes on, I'm feeling you step into a greater dimensionality and detailing of clarity, not just with your eyes and not just with your inner eyes, but within everything within you. That is way beyond anything you've ever experienced. So I'm very excited for you, Capricorn. Okay. And here we have the Page of Cups. I can't believe I don't remember it. Is this a wombat? All right, well, now you can see he's floating on the river and he's got his one cup, just like that one pentacle, on his snout, and he's holding it above water, but he's not tense. He's floating like the Wu Wei. He's letting the river take him, and he feels his spiritual guide. You see that little bird's on his back again, and the bird says, I've got your back. He's looking behind, making sure everything's good and clear, and he's communicating with you. And you've got all these fireflies, all these kind of angelic, celestial, light, love beings. I can't believe I said that. All around you. And they're showing up as fireflies. At the same time, you're realizing that those fireflies are symbolic of the spiritual ones that are with you. They're demonstrating themselves in the environment around you, reminding you here and there, uplifting you, welling and swelling the incredible energy in your heart. And you're cruising, man. You're just cruising down the river, letting it take you. And there's the lotus flower underneath your chin. And it's kind of your North Star. And the lotus flower is there reminding you that the journey that you are to follow is the one that opens up from the inside and follows out. And it doesn't matter how anybody else sees you, or if anybody else sees you. It has nothing to do with an audience or another person. It has everything to do with the work that you're doing inside and within. And it's not all pink and flowery and beautiful all the time. Because remember, we always remember, the lotus takes root in the dark and the muck. And that's where it gets its nutrients, by digging down deep and taking in the stuff that others would call not desirable, but then sifting it within itself, transmuting it into digestible material, just like we do with our food. We sift it and break it apart and transmute it and utilize it in all the different ways. And we're not aware of it. We're not consciously focusing on breaking apart a peanut butter sandwich molecule by molecule and sending it to all the different parts of our body that need it. That's something that in a way is automatic, but not always either. And that's the other message that Spirit's got for you. When you continue to develop that relationship with your spirit guides, with your higher self, with your I lineage, the more that you cultivate and foster that interconnectivity, the more trust is developed. And there'll be ongoing instances where your guides will give you trust exercises, really. And they'll set it up in a way that you'll pass, or if there's a fail, so to speak, it's gentle. And it's the kind that goes, oh yeah, okay. You know, just like learning to ride a bike, you know, you don't just always get on and go for it, or learning to ski or snowboard. There's some falls, right? But everything's navigated and hopefully paced in a way. And when we're relying on spirit and not our minds and external influences, the ride is so much more smooth, and even the bumps become enjoyable. Nice. Okay, so then you've got the 10 of Wands in reverse. I was so happy to see this in reverse because, as you can see here, the sun is coming out and getting very bright. So hopefully the card's not too washed out. The journey of the salmon is an uphill journey, right? This is the 10 of Wands card. One that is a self-created turbulence. And it's a 10, so it's a completion of that. But it's like the salmon, even the one that's furthest along here, is only halfway up. And it keeps creating these turbid waters, in a sense. And it's doing it. And it's following this rough river, this incredibly hard journey, because that is the program that is within its entire genome of what has to be done to get to the spot to lay the eggs and or fertilize them. Because that's the egg location that the salmon were born from. So what was always has been and always will be, and that's the program. And you are getting some serious courage. You are done with that program of doing things the hard way. You see it now. And you're taking responsibility. You are developing the ability to respond instead of react. And that can only be done when the slowing down happens, when less becomes more. So much less. And when I say less becomes more, it's not less pizza and less hamburgers and less shopping and less all the things quantitatively. It is that. But more importantly, it's the quality. Instead of pizza, it's whole broccoli that you steam and salt and pepper. But now you're tasting for a fraction of the price. You're tasting all these incredible flavors in something so basic and so simple. And it's enhancing not just your clarity and your health, it's enhancing your experience of something that, had you been busy or stressed or preoccupied or whatever, that broccoli wouldn't have tasted so good, for one, because you have to really get present with a moment to experience the bliss and the benefit of something that's actually good for you, where you can be in a rush and have automatic neural and hormonal and biochemical reactions that say, yum, good, bliss, from something like pizza. And pizza is quick, or a hamburger, or spaghetti, or I'm listing off things. You know what I mean? Or a TV show, or certain types of company, or social media. And so there's this more nuanced understanding for you that's coming forward that's showing for you how doing things culturally acceptable has actually created a life that is so much more difficult than it needed to be. And instead of shaming yourself for it, I'm feeling you opening up, and I can feel the heart chakra. It's at those stages where it hurts because it's opening up more deeply in areas that haven't been opened in a long time, if ever. And it's enhancing, that heart chakra is enhancing itself with more and more strength, as we brought up here in the root and the sacral chakra. That experience of self-love in all circumstances, in all moments. Because as you have and are going to continue to be developing this incredible relationship with your guides and your spirit team, and what's even more beyond that, there's so much more, of course, that you'll learn about as you go. And even if you have gone, there's still more, right? And you're developing trust on what to step into and what not to. Because of these relationships and the quality and the strength of them that you're developing more intensely and intently throughout the year. I lost it for a second. You are really able to sit back into the comfortability that everything has been exactly in divine design. Every detail, every love, every loss, every sorrow, every destitution, every terror and fear, every sickness and hardship, every impossible and every possibility, in every moment in time and stage, has been exactly what it was meant to be, exactly within the design of your life. And it's only now, and more so throughout this year, as you're feeling the truth of that, and you're allowing yourself to sit back in the truth of that and be held in the comfort of that love that is present and getting stronger because of the trust that you're developing with spirit. That you're feeling there's no need for shame, not to yourself, not to another, no need for blame, not to yourself, not for any others. And when that awareness comes in, and that awareness that eventually goes from an actualization into a full embodiment, and that becomes your modus operandum of life. This cruising down the river, being in the Wu Wei, in collaboration and a committed relationship with your spirit, and all involved in that realm. Everything shifts, not just in perspective, but of course, again, within, without. It ripples and ripples and ripples. And you start having this profound effect on those around you not because you have a platform, but because you are within your own beingness, your own key. And that brings us to the last card here, the Chariot. You become your own counsel. You guide yourself. You are your own chariot. And I can see up here in the upper corner, the heart, the organ of the heart, and it's surrounded by the laurel leaf crown image. You are a champion of your own heart. This is more than ever what you're becoming. And fear is, I'm seeing the chickens, right? Don't be a chicken versus this badger. So there's these extremes that I think maybe you were participating in before. Well, I don't want to be a chicken, even though maybe you felt incredible fear in your heart. So I'm going to have to be a badger. I have to be fierce. We all know badgers, man, not cool. And they just end up causing more problems, right? And they go after the rattlesnakes, and then they get bit, and you know, and they wake up, so they don't care. Eventually the poison just knocks them out. But that is not the way to go. That's some serious extremism. Here you are incorporating the fear and the extremism of honey badger don't give a crap. Thinking of that one video. I know you've seen it. You have to have seen it. Anyways, if not, give it a Google. It's honey badger don't give a, I'll say poop. Anyways, you've incorporated those two extremes and you've brought them within at the core of your being. And now you have this incredible heart, a heart that is the physical heart. It is the chakra heart. It is the energetic love that is moving through all your chakras. Really, heart is the essence of what you are developing throughout 2024. So I'm really excited. This is one of those readings that is so lovingly like, yeah, I've been that, I've done that. And we all have, and many of us still are, and probably will again, right? There's always layers and levels. And so there's no like, from my perspective, oh, I've done this and I've been through it and back and got the t-shirt. There's none of that, because even if that were the truth of my story, I have been through the ringers enough times to recognize that there's always more. And no matter how extreme I have ever gone through any kind of learning development, I know better than to have the hubris to think that I am hierarchically above anybody else in any other way, even if that experience for experience could be comparatively more or less with myself to another. It's just, that's not how it goes in the vast expanse of the universe. There is no up and down and forward and back. There's no hierarchy. There's just all of it. And we're a point in it somewhere, doing the best we can, hopefully. Well, we are. Okay, so let's get to your card, Coca. I am going to look that up. Dun, 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 dun. Coco, that's not it. 36. All right. Try to get this. The sun is really coming in. All right, there's the image. I'm just going to hold it up for a moment, and you can take a screenshot if you want. Okay. So its genus and species name in Latin is Erythroxylum coca. Erythroxylum coca. Upright, supernatural powers, ability to see universal truth, genius, spiritual guidance, brilliance, integrity, and impeccability. It's reminding me of the, what's the book? You know, be impeccable with your word. That's one of the, it'll come to me. I want to read the reversed because I feel like there's a, not a warning, but a really, because this is strong medicine, I think there's an importance to the flip side of this. If the medicine is not used properly. And of course, when we're connecting with plant spirit medicine, it doesn't necessarily, in fact, I prefer to connect with it spiritually, energetically, with any of them, whether it's spearmint or coca or cacao or chamomile or green tea. It's wonderful too. It's a whole different experience, way more powerful, and yet the parameters of overture are, it doesn't happen. You don't go too far in any direction. Okay, so the reversed says the contraindication would bring about disbelief, disconnection from source, rejection of innate powers, egocentric, and megalomania. And that makes sense if you think about the cocaine drug, from what I know about it. And again, it's ruler Uranus and Venus. So let's read this. Even though we're already 41 minutes into it, I feel like this whole thing wants to be read. So here we go. Coca, commonly chewed to stimulate capacity, energy, and abilities. Coca, also known as mama coca or coca mama, was an important plant in the culture and religion of the Incas and other tribal peoples nearby in the Lake Titicaca region of South America. The Inca goddess, Chasca, was linked to Venus and depicted holding sprigs of coca, embodying the power and fruitfulness of love. Places where coca grew were considered sanctuaries where all humans should worship the gods. Priests tossed leaves of coca into the air for divination, worship, and to ask permission from entities of the cardinal directions. Coca was considered so sacred that the shamans never consulted the oracle without first chewing coca leaves and entering into a trance with its spirit. When consulting the oracle, they often threw the leaves on the ground with powerful intention to then analyze the divinatory meaning, much like the yarrow with the I Ching. For thousands of years, the Q'ero, among many other tribes in the Andes, have ingested coca to increase their energy to work and general vitality. I have learned that really, I remember watching a documentary a couple decades ago that coca, because the elevation and the altitude is so high, it's almost necessary for functionality, and it's a big part of their culture. They are very aware of the many curative properties of coca and use it in poultices, salves, compresses, and teas. Coca is ruled by Uranus, as it is one of nature's greatest energizers and stimulants. It moves through the body like electricity, pulsating and nourishing the nervous system, being a mental stimulant that activates extrasensory perception, great clarity, and the genius within. It is also a trademark for Uranian planets. So look and see also where Uranus is. Perhaps you're somebody who has Uranus in Capricorn. Uranian and Aquarian plants like coca profoundly stimulate the imagination, attuning us to our ability to surrender to spontaneity and the insightfulness of the present moment. And the guidance here is, the mighty jaguar is the spirit animal to many great medicine peoples in the rainforest. The jaguar has been regarded as one of the fierce protectors of the sacred and seen as a bridge to the upper worlds, or a messenger from the realms of spirit. Coca's lightning-like energy has appeared today, signaling the piercing clarity, foresight, and power you have available to you right now. Jaguar spirit rewards you as you might stay true to your integrity in moments where you could easily give it away. Staying true to your integrity in moments where you could easily give it away. Don't reject innate gifts you were born with. cultivate them, and don't shy away from their magnificent power. The power of Jaguar is that of the greatest shaman, able to assist in soul work and journeying to retrieve aspects of your power that have been forgotten or remained latent. And really, doesn't that sum up those last few sentences, what we spoke about, of the work that you'll be doing this year in cultivating that heart, fostering, developing strength and fortitude as you develop trust with your spirit guides. And this can, again, be done in clarity, a clarity that you will create yourself by more astute choices and responsibilities with what you consume from the world around you. So that is beautiful and strong and amazing foretelling for you in this coming year, Capricorn. Thank you so much for joining me today, my friends. Have a wonderful year and enjoy.